Terry here again with your SPAG activities for week 3. We're going to finish off looking at word classes this week. We're going to recap prepositions and pronouns, and we're going to have a look at determiners as well. Okay, prepositions and pronouns we have done in class during our writing sessions. So I'm just going to do a really quick recap on those. Pretty simple to follow. And then determiners is where it gets a bit trickier. Okay, so prepositions. We've spoken about the word position already being in that word, so have a think about what position means. So you could be up, down, underneath, above, on the side of something, next to something. We also talk about prepositions being before, after, next, kind of when something happens during the day as well, or during a time. So prepositions are where or when something's happening. There's a few just down here on the side as well. Pronouns are used when we do not use the name for the noun. For example, Miss Terry is a noun, and the pronoun for me would be she or her if you were talking about me. Hopefully you wouldn't use it, as we would use that for objects. I found this chart on online, and I think it's really good. It kind of shows you what other words you could use. For example, we've been looking at Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So instead of always using Charlie, we can look at this section here. It's the third person male, and we could use one of these rather than always saying Charlie all the time. Okay, quick activity here. Can you spot the prepositions and the pronouns within these sentences? You might want to pause here and have a little chat with someone near you. You can discuss them. Could you change them for anything else and it would still make sense? Have a little chat about that. This is the activity from your pack that's going to help you with, really similar to last week. And there's your prepositions and pronouns. We did nouns and adjectives and verbs and adverbs and conjunctions last week, and then in a minute we're going to focus on determiners. So this whole video should help you really with this activity. Okay, determiners. It is something slightly new. We do think it's important to teach it. It comes up more kind of top end of Key Stage 2, but we're gonna look at it anyway because we always think it's good to prepare for different things that are going to come up in our grammar. So what are determiners? It's a word which is used before a noun to show the particular example of the noun you're talking about. So my English class starts at 7 o'clock. The determiner there is my. These students live near the college. These would be the determiner, and also the is quite a very simple determiner that we're going to see a lot of. Why do we use them? It helps us understand and sometimes visualize the noun that you're talking about. So here I've underlined some examples. We've got 2 apples. You could say there are apples. How many? Can we be more specific and use a determiner? We can say that there's a number of them. We could say these, which sometimes suggests that there's more than one, and a possessive of who do they belong to. Are they his books? Are they her books? Are they my books? And then, like I said, we've got a nice simple one here. We've got the, which you're going to see. Okay, like we were saying, how determiners specify the noun. I've taken one noun here. I've just taken a lion, and we're going to look at how determiners might change that noun. I'm going to mention here as well, determiners can also come before the adjective that describes that noun. So I've used these 3 here. A mighty lion, there's the determiner A which is used. The biggest lion, these both suggest that there is just one. Here we've got some beautiful, look, gone wrong there, should have an S. Whoops. Some beautiful lions. Some is the determiner, it suggests there is more than one. And then every lion, every is another determiner that we can use. Every lion roared as loudly as they could. We've got that kind of suggests that there's more than one lion, there's a few lions, and they're all roaring at the same time. So we can see how the determiners changed the phrase and it's been more specific. What we were saying earlier about not making this too tricky, because determiners can turn into something quite tricky and we don't want that for the year threes. It's mainly just kind of spotting them and using them in writing when we need to specify a noun like we were talking about before. So I wouldn't worry too much about what they're called and the type for now, but it's just kind of knowing which determiners fit with a noun. So we've got simple ones, let's call it that, a and the. We'll use a lot of those naturally. Let's call this the th determiners, this, that, these, those. The word possessives we have used before because we use possessive apostrophes in year three. So his, her, my, or their, so who does it belong to? We can link quantifiers and numbers together, so we can just say, well, how many of that thing is there on the plate? Or how many children are there in the classroom? Are there some? Are there 15? No, we can kind of find those two together. Question words they're going to know as well. The which, what, whose, example. Again, it's the same activity from your pattern that this determiner section is going to help. But now we should have covered all of these different word classes. And then next week we're going to go on to something else. But this might pop up every now and again, so be aware of it. Okay, keep practicing those word classes. Good old BBC Bite Size is back. I'll put these links into the description again. The determiners video is a YouTube one. I used it for some inspiration, a good way to break it down. So the lion section is all in that. They talk about 4 different types of determiners, but again, don't get too caught up with the types of determiners. Let's just focus on what they do to a noun. But the video does have some nice illustrations. It breaks it down quite nicely, so maybe look at that together and stop it at different intervals to discuss what determiners are. They can be really simple, but they can also be really tricky, so if you feel like your children are really struggling with it, don't worry about it too much. Just focus on some really simple ones, and they probably use a lot of them naturally anyway, so there we go. As last week, email or message your teachers for support on SPAG or any other stuff that we've spoken about this week. Keep going with your hard work. You're all doing really well. It isn't easy, but we're all very proud of you. So enjoy yourselves and have another lovely week. Bye.